4 বছর ধরে চলা এ পথ আমার আছে পাওয়ার, আর কিছু হারাবার সহ্য করতে পারিনি অবিচার, তাই পেয়েছি সবকিছু পেয়ে তারা মশলা মেশানো তর্ক বিতর্ক, বিনোজন মানুষের দুঃখের গল্প। এডওয়ার্ড দেশের নির্বাক চিত্র প্রসারিত হোক অভিমান।
Hi guys, welcome to episode 6 of Future Sound of Bengal. And wow, first of all, what a performance. Let me introduce to you guys to our episode 6 guests, who does not need most probably any introduction. You guys have kind of guessed by now. We have Adil Rashid in the house. Hi Adil, how are you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. Seems great.
Oh, super. You're most welcome. So, great to have, Adil for this episode. And today, I think Adil is the first guitarist. So, with instrumentalists, we already had one keyboardist, but today we have a crazy setup that Adil has. I'll also kind of ask what he uses. We'll know a lot of things, we have. So Adil kind of is obviously, you guys know him from Underground Authority and maybe some of his other projects that he does. But today would be a bit more. What we do in Future Sound of Bengal is we ask about the person behind the whatever
the
art.
plectrum.
Yes, the person behind the plectrum. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So yeah, we'll kind of ask who Adil is, what is his journey. We'll learn about some of his journey, what he's doing nowadays, what his future projects are going to be, all that, and we'll get to know kind of the method behind the craziness, I won't say madness, I won't say the method behind the genius, most probably, that he has.
That's overreaching a little bit.
Anyway, so we'll get there. So Adil, again, welcome to the show. So we'll start, we'll kind of start with a very general question that we, I think, let's start a bit chronologically. Kind of tell us that, how did you begin your kind of journey in music?
All right, so my journey in music is not very I wouldn't say it's an extremely fascinating story, but it is a funny story.
Okay.
So I don't have a history of music in my family. In fact, there's a history of sports in my family. Like for 2 generations, there have been like quite high achieving sports people in my family.
Okay.
No one's ever done music. But for me, I think when I was growing up, I was a little more inclined towards public speaking, writing, debates. I used to do that a lot.
Okay.
And somehow, just by chance, I happened to watch a Guns N' Roses concert that my cable we didn't have, we didn't have dish antennas in every home then, so my cable guy used to play some English concerts that I don't think even he knew what he was playing, but I happened to watch a Guns N' Roses concert and I was like, wow. I mean, it doesn't sound as pleasing as the music that I've already heard, but it just looks like something I want to do.
Okay.
And I had no idea what was going on.
Okay.
But it kind of, the grooves and the style of music really resonated with me, and then I started looking for other people who do this, or who listen to this. My older brother being someone who was a Guns N' Roses fan and Iron Maiden. So rock music hit me like a slap on my face right at the beginning, and I was completely enamored by the guitar, and I knew nothing about it. In fact, for a number of years after that, after I first heard music, I did not know how to play music. I kind of figured it out as I was listening to more and more music.
Okay. So tell us about kind of once you started maybe kind of listening to the this kind of music and everything. What were like the initial kind of did you take any formal training in guitar, or what? Kind of.
I wouldn't call it formal training because I've never actually stuck to like a formal training. I did join a couple of music schools in the beginning, so I got a few of the basics down from there.
Okay.
I joined the book of knowledge that is Amit Dutta.
Oh, okay.
I went to him for a few classes and I couldn't understand anything that he taught. So and I just left. At that point of time, I just wanted to go like. I just wanted to, chords did not make a lot of sense to me. I just wanted to shred.
Right. Okay.
So I stopped going, but I kept in touch with him. In fact, I think like yesterday I met him again, and we still have a great relationship. Okay. And if anyone can be my teacher, it's him, because even though I don't go sit at his classes, I learn like a lot about the way he understands music, which kind of helps me.
Okay, makes sense. So, I'll just tell you something about myself. Amita is also my teacher in the beginning in the guitar.
I think everyone. He's everyone's teacher.
Yeah, so you're like institution in himself. And so many guitarists, so many kind of wonderful guitarists have kind of, as you kind of said, most probably you did not understand what, and in the sense what he was kind of doing. Maybe it's but you're like wanting to do the shredding. So coming to shredding, let's kind of talk about that. That's, if you can see, we have on the left, I don't have the cameras pointing there, but we have Steve Vai.
These guys are my heroes.
Yeah, so we have there, and if you look on the back, you'll see Petrucci is there.
Yeah.
There is there's the, I think कौन है वहाँ पे
Hendrix है.
Hendrix है नहीं, Petrucci का नीचे में भी है. Satriani is also there.
Man, this is
okay,
like
so
my zone.
Yeah. So this is there. So I kind of have delved in a bit of everything, but kind of regarding shredding. So let me ask you. I'm sure you have followed those rock discipline and everything.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
all that.
So I didn't have YouTube growing up.
Okay, yeah.
So I had these bootleg VCDs that we used to go and collect, and I think if like I owe my initial rock knowledge of shredding to Paul Gilbert and his lesson video.
Yeah, easy lesson videos.
Yeah, so Intense Rock Volume 1 and 2 was it. That was what taught me how to start playing guitar.
Okay.
And that's why I have a purple guitar also, because I saw Paul Gilbert in that video.
Yeah. Right. Great.
So ever since that time in 2004 when I saw that video. I've always wanted a purple guitar, and I
Okay.
got it this year. So,
No, you have to pull it off. Having a black guitar and a white guitar makes sense. Just I'm very kind of like I like those things, but a purple guitar pull off bhi karna ho sakta hai. Kind of you have to pull it off.
yeah, so like I think I've always been like a little weird right from the get-go, and my aesthetic is 80s like all the way. So
okay.
I don't mind if it looks a little outrageous. I feel like, like Van Halen would love this guitar. Steve Vai would love this guitar, and that's
Okay.
I think why I love these. Like honestly, like if we're being very honest, I hate the way guitars look right now.
Okay.
They're so unartistic.
Okay.
Like I feel
Okay.
I feel the modern guitars are like I'm sorry, I'm being opinionated right at the beginning.
No, absolutely. This is what we want to kind of talk of and kind of know regarding. Yeah, so.
So like a modern guitar construction just seems so soulless to me.
Okay.
And these are not perfect instruments. I know that the newer instruments are better suited for playing, but there is a visual element to these instruments that I feel is a very important factor for me
Okay.
when choosing an instrument also. That's why I play Les Pauls, because they're so beautiful. Not because they're easy to play, just because they're so beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. So talking about like kind of musical instruments, like you were talking about the aesthetics. You are right now, I'm sure, associated. I think with I think Gibson.
The Gibson family.
The Gibson family itself. So are you like planning to kind of do something in the sense? Is there something I just wanted to kind of understand regarding designing of guitars? ऐसा कुछ plan है? Just asking because
See, we all have dreams.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's possible because it's a huge company.
Okay.
And I'm like, compared to the company, I'm a very small artist. But I would love to one day just like Van Halen, sit down and make my own guitar. Like just get parts from here and there. I'm like already, like ever since I got this guitar, I've already been messing around with it. Like I've changed the pickups, I've changed the bridge. I keep doing that anyway. So I think I have that thing in me. One day, like even if no company makes a guitar for me, I would want to make one for myself.
Okay. And if you see, I think in Calcutta itself, there are many kind of luthiers also, like, so you can, right now that knowledge is also there, right? In India, you can kind of learn it yourself and
I have actually spoken to a few people. I haven't found my kind of crazy in them.
Okay.
Like when I talk about a design like this, like this guitar, and then they're like, oh, it's not very functional. I'm like, I don't want it to be functional. I just want it to look like this. So so that kind of stuff. It's stupid. Like Paul Gilbert used to go and pick up guitars that are cheap and in like used guitars, and he used to play those only. And I think that's what set him apart. He's a crazy person, but his personality kind of rubbed off on me, and like I want to be crazy. Like I don't know if I am, but I think when it comes to these like gear and these things, I kind of follow that style. Like Daryl Dimebag, he was crazy. Like
correct.
Like in his time, no one got his tone. But he did something revolutionary, and today's modern guitar players would not exist if it wasn't for him.
Right.
Steve Vai did something ridiculous.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, like I think, like even if I don't change the world of guitar, I want to at least follow in these guys' footsteps.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And those concerts, I remember, when we were talking about bootlegs. First of all, I wanted to know, where did you get your bootlegs from?
Oh, Chotu.
Chotu.
He's the guy.
Source is the same for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think I was talking with Nobarun also on this. वो भी same जगह से ही मेरा kind of everyone वो भी is it just wanted to know, I have not visited. अभी भी है क्या? You can
it's been too long, man. Like I think it's been over 12-13 years that I've been there.
Acha.
But I'm sure, I mean, I don't think he has a market anymore because everything's available
right
online.
Now, correct, right now.
Yeah.
But us time that was like a treasure trove,
that was everything. Like going to these, like going to Music World and Planet M was one of like the things that you look forward to.
Right. So,
just buying cassettes, and cassettes have really shaped my. Because the thing about a cassette is that you don't listen to single songs. You end up listening to an entire side at best. Like the least that you do is listen to one side. So that's about 8 or 9 songs that you hear one after the other. So you kind of really, I think you get more intimate with the artist that you're listening to. Or even if it's like a compilation, I think we heard more then. and we analyze more now.
Right.
So
right.
that, yeah.
So just coming again to the question regarding guitars and guitarists. So I'm sure you've gone through all, because you are the kind of playing that you do. Obviously, we'll come to the band that you're playing for and all these things. But you play almost everything, I guess. Like तुम्हारा तो vast kind of if plethora of है ना, as per my knowledge के what you kind of are into.
In Western music, yes. I'm an absolute noob when it comes to like Indian music. I don't know much. I just use my ears if I've ever been in a situation like that. But like knowledge is zero when it comes to Indian music. But yes, Western music I have delved into many styles.
Okay, so I'll just ask you one thing. Say, when you're saying that the knowledge regarding Indian music,
classical music,
Indian classical. So you've heard Prasanna, I'm sure, right?
Oh yes.
So I think he also had some kind of lesson. I think he has lesson videos and everything. Kuch ek tha. So is it like something conscious that you don't do, or is this something not just kind of you don't want to delve into right now?
No, not really. I think the way I started understanding music based on like a harmonic structure, like harmony.
Okay.
I think I started analyzing everything else I heard after I got my vibe of music. I wouldn't say vibe. After I got my method of understanding music, I started analyzing everything else from that perspective. So right now, I don't think I can get into a discipline of a style of music anymore. I think if I hear, say, fusion, like jazz fusion, or if I even hear classical, I will try to, relate to the way I understand music already.
Okay.
Which is how I have played with like artists that are classical musicians. It just, and I kind of feel like it's a good adventure for me that way, because I tend to, be like it's not nice to know everything that you're playing. Like sometimes I just want to be left alone, like without any support. And right now I think any style of music that I get into, I want to do that. I just want to like just be there and experience it firsthand while playing it.
Okay.
And then getting into it. Of course, like the moment you hear something as a musician, you will know that if it imprints in your brain, then you do analyze it internally. So that's how I think Indian music has had its impact on me. Like it's not like I don't listen. It's not like I don't play. It's just that I don't have the academics for it. But I think I'm happy this way, because it makes for like a more like rich experience when I do learn something new.
Okay. Since we are on this train of this talk, we were kind of discussing before the show also a bit on this. So let's kind of talk about your philosophical view on music, how this is basically. Just let's kind of understand that. So what is the philosophy behind the music that you do?
I think the most important thing I feel, okay, so I do have music and my philosophical whatever ideals that I have, they are separate. They are separate in the sense that they can be exclusive of each other.
Okay.
But I choose to do what I do, which is my art, keeping in mind the moral groundings that I have achieved, or that I have not achieved, that I have learned and imbibed from the philosophical teachings that I follow. So I try to display a moral grounding in the music that I make. And it's very abstract, I cannot play a chord and say that this is a righteous chord and this is like an evil chord. I can't really, you can't do that. But I try to at least make the music making process as honest and soulful as possible. I know these are just words, throwing words out there, but by honesty in music, I mean, I try not to appear more knowledgeable than I am in my music. I try not to be pretentious with the music that I play, because it is a part of the industry. I mean, you and I both have been in this long enough to know what I'm talking about.
Right.
I try not to, overtly, emphasize on an idea. If it's purely a musical idea, it's purely a musical idea. If a thought has gone behind it, then I would like to elucidate on that point. Like I made a song once, which it's out right now. It's called Maverick,
okay.
And the entire idea of that song came to me while watching videos of, POV videos of airplanes flying.
Okay. That's
And
interesting.
the way, like when we travel on the surface, or even at sea, we have this idea of up and down,
Okay.
right, and left and right, which is pretty clear. Like our axis doesn't change, but then when you're flying an airplane, and that axis can change, like your up can be down and down can be up, and it can move. And I'm sorry, is it getting too
No.
like
Please. No. Obviously, we want to know more on this.
and that motion kind of triggered a melody in my mind. This is not really a philosophical way of understanding it, but then again, when I wrote the song, like when I finished making the melody, I tried to associate those the turbulence of a flight as an emotional journey as well.
Okay.
So it's visual, I think, like, which is why I delve into aesthetics a lot, because most of my music is very visual. Like imagery is very important. Like I have a song about a boat ride. I have a song about a starry sky.
Okay.
And so
I'm getting a
that
bit
way.
of Pink Floyd-ish feel there. Is it Gilmore based, or is it just a kind of
No, so
reference?
actually Gilmore is not one of my inspirations.
Okay.
In my early years.
Okay.
Now when I listen to like Pink Floyd, because when I then, like I said, I wanted to shred. So then it was all about fast-paced music.
Right.
So my playing got, like, it went there, and then I went into 80s rock and glam rock and stuff like that. Now when I'm listening to Pink Floyd, when I'm listening to Gilman, and when I'm seeing the conviction behind those 3 chords or 4 chords in a song,
Right.
it just means something so much more.
Okay.
So yeah, it's the great thing is that I'm still learning how to play the guitar, and it's really helping me right now.
Okay. So I'll ask you something. We are getting into these topics. As a person, not as a musician, I'm asking you. Are you a spiritual person?
Yes.
Okay.
Like I follow the faith of Islam, and it has really given the teachings of the Quran and the Hadith, which is the sayings of
Right.
our Prophet, peace be upon him,
Right.
is really has helped me maintain a very important objective moral grounding.
Okay.
Like I can objectively now have a standing about at least ethical and moral values,
Okay.
which really helps me take any decision in life.
Okay.
Like for example, like lying for any reason whatsoever is negative,
Right.
unless it is to stop a conflict.
Okay.
So unless it is to stop a conflict between people that should not be, like, say for example, if somebody has a fight with each other about some backbiting issue that happened, and that person has wronged the other person, my faith allows me to tell the other person, no, he didn't say anything like that, forget it, to stop that conflict.
Okay.
But then the other way around, like if I say that no, this person said something that they didn't say to incite a conflict,
Right.
then that's wrong.
So, were you a spiritual person or a religious person in the beginning, or this is a later stage of Adil? What happened?
This is the last, I think, 10 years, 10
Last.
or 12 years of my life. I've always been like a Muslim, but I learned my faith, which is also a great story. I learned because I just wanted to know more. Like I suffered a crisis of faith a few years ago.
Okay.
So although I was born into a Muslim household, I actually discovered the religion by myself in my adulthood.
Okay.
And I've studied other religions as well, because I was at a place where I really needed to understand morality a little better than I already did know, a little better than what my school taught me, basically. So, and then I kind of rediscovered my faith, and it's like, and I'm still there, still working on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, this brings me to a question that we kind of ask all our kind of guests on the show. That is, how has a failure or maybe an apparent failure set you up for a later success? Do you have any favorite kind of failure of yours? Just asking.
So failures, I think I could write a book on the number of times I failed trying to do something.
Okay.
And music is, I think, has the most amount of failures, which is why maybe it's the most that I've been able to achieve in. And I think other things, because I do not consider myself as only a musician. I could, like, I write. So yes, I would want to be a writer someday. I am writing a book, actually.
Okay.
And but you know, I'm failing at it. So there's an ongoing failure that's happening right now. So but then I'm pretty sure that's how I started. Like, I remember the first time I held a guitar on stage was when I didn't know how to play a guitar, and I was a child. I think I was 12 years old.
Okay.
And the guitar had one string on it. And I could only play, like, you know, one string melodies. And it was horrible. People laughed at me. But, you know, like, it didn't, and I felt really bad. But then I was like, you know, someday I'll do it. Like, maybe I can't do it today. Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe in a few years. Which is exactly what happened. So, like, in terms of favorite failures, I think, this was one of them. Like, my first performance with a guitar was so embarrassing. It was horrible. And I remember it didn't stop me. I did it again the next year and the next year.
Okay.
And then by the time the 4th year of my horrible performances happened, I could play a little.
You start getting good, right?
Yeah.
Like, you fall down, then you, like, kind of take another, you know, step ahead, and that's
absolutely
how we get. And when was this? Which year we are talking about? When you kind of start?
When I failed horribly.
Yes. Like, how many years ago? This wanted to kind of.
It was when I was in class 4. So.
Oh man.
4 or 5. Yeah.
That must.
So like early 2000, like not even 2000s.
Okay.
I think 99, 98, 99, like that.
Achha. Okay. Which school you were from, by the way?
St. Thomas's, Kidderpur.
St. Thomas, Kidderpur. Okay. Fair enough. And during school time also, just since we are talking about school, so during school time, what kind of music was it? Like.
So I started. The rock thing hit me when I was in class 9.
Okay.
And immediately the first thing I wanted to do was get up on stage and start playing.
Okay.
And at that point of time, I was the kid who used to go for quizzes and debates. I wasn't the music person.
Okay.
I actually, in fact, I had a very funny experience when I wanted to join my school band.
Okay.
I went and I played whatever I knew, which was nothing, basically. The intro to Sweet Child of Mine. I mean, on an acoustic guitar. I'd never played an electric guitar in my life.
Okay.
But they kind of saw something which is great, and they took me in.
Okay.
But I faced a lot of conflict then because I wasn't a student of a prominent teacher. I wasn't Bengali speaking. I have faced this problem initially when I learned Bengali much later on in life.
Okay.
Then I couldn't speak. Because it was dominated by a lot of, like, you know, Bengali speaking people. I was a little out of place because I didn't know what they were talking about.
Okay.
And I faced a little bit of, like, you know, you are kind of different, you're an outcast, kind of. In the beginning. Later on, everyone became friends, as it happens. And then there's this, you know, the school time rivalry with people and with other schools. All that happened. In fact, I've always had to make my own band because not a lot of people played with me or wanted to play with me initially.
Okay.
So I actually built musicians from the ground up. Like, most of the people I play with have you know, kind of learned. I wouldn't say I've taught them music, but I've kind of conditioned them to play with me.
Okay.
So yeah, I've always had to build musicians and a band rather than fit into a band. Like, now it's possible because I've been doing this long enough, and I have friends in the industry.
Right.
But then I was never a social person. I still am not very much.
Okay.
But then I was, you know, I used to sit at home and compose stuff. One thing that really helped me was I started composing from the moment I started playing.
Okay.
And I had best friends who I used to share my ideas with, and they got inspired to play. And then I just, like, started forming bands with them.
Okay. Talking about, you know, forming bands, initial which bands my team has done the research. I know about Danpite, that is the one was there.
Yeah.
And if there was something else, you know, we can kind of talk on that.
Yeah, sure. Before Danpite, I played in the St. Thomas's school band.
Okay.
One iteration of that was me as a guitar player, where I just joined the band initially, and then after that I kind of formed a band with a few
Okay.
school friends.
Okay.
And we played like, and yeah, I remember, like, we used to make songs, which is awesome. We didn't have the technology, we didn't have anything, but then me and my friend Arjun, who stayed as a drummer of Dan Pite for a while with me.
Okay.
And me and him, we used to spend nights trying to record a drum kit with 2 microphones. And sit and make songs and listening to great, like, we were big fans of Iron Maiden. Arjun was into like metal, like he used to do Children of Bodom and stuff like that. Dream Theater.
Okay.
And I was into the melodic side, listening to Maiden, Guns N' Roses, a lot of obscure 80s bands.
Okay.
And we bonded and we made songs. Megadeth was a huge influence for both of us. And we had another friend who played the bass, so we had a perfect trio situation there.
Okay.
And we made songs, and I think those were the best days of my life. But
Yes.
then, I've tried to still keep that,
Yeah.
I've tried to still, like, in fact, I'm playing a gig in a few days with musicians who I've never played with before and who are pretty much very new.
Okay.
Not because, just because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy making a person, play. Like, I enjoy building up musicians. Like, not as a teacher, but more as like a part of the band. Like, making things happen. Like, that's the role I kind of assume in most musical situations that I'm in.
No, I'll just this actually reminds me of a lot of things. That is, the first kind of band, those first time, kind of days are kind of, when you're just doing it for the fun. Abhi to, like, you're a professional, abhi to kind of kya gigs mein kya, kind of what is the payment and all this stuff, and where is it going to matter. But initially, kind of the experience that you were sharing regarding Arjun ke saath jo, you've kind of built and you guys were doing, I think the fun element, and I also keep telling my creative team, because when I kind of work, is that there should be a fun. The moment it stops being fun, then we are losing kind of the point. We stop enjoying the art. At least I won't say it's a cakewalk, but that energy, that initial enthusiasm, the moment we lose it, it shows. It basically
Absolutely.
will reflect
And
on your. Right.
I would, sorry, I cut you off there. This comes multiple times in a musician's career, and I think I can say that, having played for like 17 years, I can say that I have faced this. There have been months where I have hated music. Because I was hating the situation I was in. I didn't want to go up on stage, but I had to because it pays the bills.
Correct.
And although I was playing the same music that I loved playing 5 years ago, I hated doing it. And then, I would say this to a musician because it comes back, that feeling comes back.
Right.
That fun, the whole idea of trying to create something new, it's a cycle. And it's just like life. It's like, there are ups and downs. Okay, so we know that most sounds are like a sine wave.
Right.
And there are like high points and there are low points, and then there are points in like it crosses the 0 point, which is like the point of nothingness. Where it's neither on this side of the, this side, the amplitude is not positive or negative. And I think most of life is at that 0 point where nothing happens, nothing interesting happens. Neither a high point, neither a low point. But I see that as the jump off point, because you can only go either way from there.
Right.
So, just like a pleasing sound will have that waveform, that is how life takes its course. And just the way a sine wave dies out, that's how your energy dies out. That's how your life force dies out, I feel. But the oscillation remains till the end. So I feel that I have faced this in, like, if I've been in 4 bands for a long amount of time, I faced this in all 4 bands. I faced this in every project that I've played. Like, nothingness for a while, absolute low, and then sudden burst of, in fact, I just released a song called A Sudden Burst of Creativity.
Okay.
Because that's what it was. Like, like in months in the lockdown of nothingness, and then I just one day thought of an idea and I made a 2-minute song, and I just recorded it and uploaded it.
Okay.
And I couldn't name it anything else, so I called it a sudden burst of creativity.
Okay.
And that happens. And when that happens, you feel like you're 14 again. I remember after Dan Pite, which was not a very positive experience in my life, I formed a band called Weapon Shop.
Yeah. I think I forgot. Yeah, Weapon Shop I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like I was a child again.
Yeah.
Making new music, learning new music. I got introduced to the drop D in that band. So it was a new experience altogether.
Right.
And making originals. Like I got introduced to Creed, to modern rock basically.
Okay.
Modern rock happened to me during that time. And I believe that if Weapon Shop wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be playing the music that I'm playing today.
Okay.
Because up until that time, for me, music ended in like say 1992, 93. Because I didn't have access or the opportunity to play anything else.
Okay.
And then I heard Creed. And then I heard Disturbed and Godsmack. And I was like, whoa, this is something new.
Okay. No, I think then in that case, तुम्हारा journey थोड़ा like it's a bit like what should I say, different obviously, but I'm saying कि dynamically opposite of me, at least in the sense, at least musical listening.
Okay.
I started, I'm still I love modern rock, so we जो kind of names you have said. Godsmack, Creed and all that. So modern rock, I remember you used to kind of buy those CDs. There was this one CD, I forgot the name most probably. A modern rock collection ही था कुछ.
Yeah.
So I started listening to those things, and later, so when my band's first guitarist kind of left, I had to kind of listen to, because he was a huge shredder. So I first kind of had a normal, kind of a quiet scratch, which is here, and then I kind of got in touch with a lot of guitarists, and then I kind of also what should I say, listen to the shredding and all that. So that was very different. So I think it's very interesting from coming from that, because generally I'm not kind of making what should I say, I won't make categories on this, but generally जो बंदे लोग सेट करता है ना, तो वो मॉडर्न रॉक ये क्या प्ले कर रहे हैं काइंड ऑफ. So you have gone back to that, and if you enjoyed that, so tell me more about Weapon Shop in that case. What happened? What's
I'll tell you something funny.
बोलो.
When my friend from school, he put on a Disturbed song when I was not into modern rock.
Okay.
And I hated it. I was like, what is this noise? Bro, where's the melody? Okay. And 2 years later, I called that friend up and I said, bro, have you heard this song? It's called what was it? Stupefy, and it's amazing.
Correct.
And he's like, अबे हम तुमको यही सुनाया था 2 साल पहले.
Oh man, that a burst, but as in Disturbed, insane. I think Disturbed का music जो है, obviously no shredding and everything, but riffs, if you say the quality of sound and obviously the vocals, like it's insane. I'm sure you've heard Asylum, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm like, when I heard that album.
Another thing about Disturbed, like the guitar player Dan Donegan is, I feel after Daryl Dimebag, he's one of the unique guys.
Okay.
I mean, he didn't achieve a lot. I'm sure he did. I mean, he literally formed a new style of music. But I find a lot of similarities between him and Dimebag Daryl. Okay. Because I feel that he has a unique tone. He plays in his own style. He makes sounds that are not very guitar-like. And, and his guitar tone would not fit in every situation.
Okay.
But it still defined a sound which I think not a lot of bands have been able to play like Disturbed after Disturbed.
Okay.
So I really like the guitar player. I really like the drummer. I like everything about that band. It's just so fresh, still fresh sounding.
Okay.
And that happened to me with Weapon Shop. I mean, the vocalist of Weapon Shop, Saugat, he was a huge David Draiman fan.
Okay.
He wanted to sing Disturbed, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
And I started picking it up, and I was like, wow, like, there's no guitar solo, but it's a tough song. Like, you need to really remember your parts and play. Which is where I got into heavy riffing from there.
Okay.
And I've come to a point now where I can really choose not to have a guitar solo in a song. Because, like, I can have parts which are, like, like an alto bridge or like a Disturbed.
Right. So, Adil, you mentioned regarding, being introduced to the drop D. Then I'll just kind of take it a bit further. Like, as you kind of play, Gibson guitars and Kramer's. Do you have a 7-string or a 8-string? Have you kind of done any kind of stuff? Have you delved into those?
I don't have the skill or the talent to play more than 6 strings, honestly.
Okay.
I get confused now only.
Uh-huh.
And I lose myself on the fretboard. Honestly, most of what people have seen me play live with extreme confidence is just showmanship.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Okay.
I am actually I have to think a lot before I play something. And so I feel that I haven't mastered these 22 frets yet. I mean 24B I don't play. I don't even play 24 frets because I think I'm stuck somewhere here. I'm still not if you're being very honest, it's not like I don't know what's going on, but I feel a 7-string will just throw me off.
Okay.
And maybe if I play it, I'll get into the groove of things.
Okay.
But yeah, that's what. Okay. And I also feel that the heavy, I think a 7-string, the way the 7-string is being used right now in a lot of progressive music, which is great. But I feel it's kind of undervalues the extra string because it's just being used as a low tuning mechanism.
Okay.
Which can be done on this string. The same thing can be done on the 6th string as well. It just won't sound as low tuned or heavy. I'm not saying the music is bad because I don't know how to do that music that much. But I think when I really feel like I need a lower octave is when I'll probably ever think of a 7th string.
Okay, makes sense. So I'm sure 6-string itself is a huge thing. So that is there. So, but as you said, you are still learning, and that's how I am sure out of humbleness you are doing that. But we have to be lifelong learners. That when we kind of stop learning,
it's not out of humbleness, bro. I'll tell you. I went to Amit Da's workshop yesterday, and it's been less than 24 hours that I interacted with him. And every time I see him, I'm like, okay, now sit down and practice. So you need to learn a little more, and not because he's doing anything new or different. I mean, he's just being himself. But just looking at the amount of thinking that goes into his playing, and then I feel like I'm stuck. I could probably learn a little bit more. And I think one meeting with him is 6 months of thinking for me. And I told him this, now for 6 months I won't see you because I'm going to, try to take some of what I learned today out in my playing.
Okay.
And I think musicians inspire each other a lot more than books, music books would inspire a musician or a video. Having a conversation with a musician has opened my eyes and my thoughts a lot more than watching them play also, actually.
Okay. So regarding, I'll just ask you, you were talking about that you were writing a book. Was it, is it fiction, non-fiction? What is it about?
Fiction, fantasy.
Fiction, fantasy?
Yeah.
Could you kind of enumerate a bit, or is it high confidential stuff?
No, I won't tell you the plot.
Okay, no, I'm not going to steal that. I'm sure.
But it's a commentary on on the circumstances and the happenings of World War II.
Okay.
In packaged in a young adult fantasy format.
Okay.
That's what. And I've been writing this since 2005.
2005. So this is.
I've had this idea since I was 15, 16 years old.
Okay, so.
But I've only gotten through a few chapters.
Okay.
But then I feel it's something I really want to do, and even it's been 16, 17 years since then. But I still feel like I can do this. It still feels relevant to me.
Okay, makes sense. Which brings me to the next question, which I ask all my kind of what should I say, folks who come on the show, is that if you are writing, obviously you read books, you have them. So what is we can answer it 2-3 ways. Okay, what are your kind of 3 favorite books? You can answer it that way, or you can we can go it about it. What are the books that you have gifted the most to people, and why also? That is. And when I'm saying books, I'm not only meaning fiction, non-fiction. It kind of inculcates any other kind of material also, whatever. So
okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm not a very regular reader, but I am reading a book right now called The Divine Reality
Okay.
by Hamza Andreas Zortzis,
Okay.
which this person is shows a very speaks about a very rational and logical extension of thinking, which would lead towards the possibility of a creator,
Okay.
keeping science in hand. Because see, I'm an engineer, I'm a man of science, I come from science, like and I love, you know, places where a spiritual understanding of the world and a physical understanding of the world come together. So this book kind of really delves in between both of that in very simple language. And I feel simple speech can speak volumes to a person's mind and soul and heart than rather than very flowery speech, which is also awesome, by the way. Like Douglas Adams is one of my I've read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and the language is so I mean, that's an English language book for me, other than fantasy, which I read a lot of fantasy, as in Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite authors.
Oh man. Okay. Right.
And right now I'm reading a lot of history because of the book that I'm writing.
Okay.
I'm reading not books in particular, but a lot of articles about history, trying to understand the happenings of World War II. I read religious text, not just my own. I've read a lot of the Old and New Testament of the Bible, a little bit of Indian history as well, mythology, a little bit of what I know of other people's interpretations also, not directly, because I'm not very good with the language. I mean, I'm okay with a little bit of Urdu and Arabic, but then not more than that. So the thing is, I'm constantly reading, but not anything in particular.
Okay.
So that.
That's actually, so much. So we know Adil, kind of the guitarist. This was, we didn't even know he's working on a book for the last 17 years, which is his kind of.
And that's a huge ongoing failure in my life, because because I still haven't completed it, and like all my friends know about it, and they're like, "Kab niklega?"
Okay. So I'm sure, we'll kind of surely get to read it once you're kind of done and kind of publish it.
Oh, also, I'm a huge fan of graphic novels and comic books.
Okay.
And I actually have already written, I don't know if I'll ever release it, a theatre adaptation of The Killing Joke.
Okay.
Which was just something I wanted to do one day, because I imagined that book. Like, do you know about The Killing Joke, which is Alan Moore's Batman story, which is which everyone talks about, the origin of the Joker, which the first Batman movie is based on.
Okay.
And I kind of just because my memory is very visual, like what you call an eidetic memory, is what I believe I possess, because I even remember music by the way it looks while I'm playing it, not the way it sounds.
Okay.
So visual is everything. So I kind of when I read that graphic novel, I kind of imagined it on stage, as a theatre production, and I just wanted to write, and I wrote it.
Okay.
But I have not shared it with a lot of people. So yeah.
Okay. Well, so a lot of different things kind of getting out. So this is what happens. This is the reason you've kind of done this, to kind of understand what is a person. So talking about you as a person, let me also ask this: do you have any unusual kind of habit which you have? Kind of
so many.
Please go ahead. Share.
Unusual habit. Oh yes, people have noticed this a lot. When I say something, I tend to repeat what I've said silently.
Silently, okay.
Yeah, so they'll see me. So if I say something like, I had a great time playing that show, and kind of, recapping in my mind whether what I said was appropriate or not.
Okay.
This is something that I've seen happens, and I think I got it from my mom, because she also does the same thing sometimes.
Okay.
It comes, I know where it comes from. It comes from not being sure whether what I said was appropriate or not. So I just repeat it, and repeat it in my head, but my lips move. So that could be one of the unusual habits. Otherwise, I like to drink tea on stage while I'm playing. It's weird. I always ask for tea.
On stage,
while I'm playing, and even if I don't drink it, even if it becomes ice cold, I just have to see tea.
Okay, you have to see. So I think you should be comfortable because I'm sure your tea has gone ice cold
Oh,
by.
so again, I do this. I drink like cold tea.
Okay.
Like from warm to cold.
Okay.
So yeah. So cheers.
So yeah, sure. So on that, so what I'll ask is what kind of tea? Any specific?
Oh, like the general doodh chai.
So I think Rono we have here. One of he's I think he's in the kitchen. He loves doodh chai, and I like doodh chai because the thing is that you have to make it and all. Na?
Yeah.
For me, it's like green tea works for me because it's fast. That is
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely.
But
I'm a total tea person, man. Like, and because like there's no such thing as day and night for us. Yeah. So like, why I like Amit Dutta. He says such beautiful things. He says, this is a 24-hour job. For musicians, it's a 24-hour job. We can spend an entire week not thinking about anything, but maybe, when you're taking a leak, you're thinking about, I could have fit that note with that melody, and I kind of missed that. So he said, like, it's not a 9 to 5. You don't shut yourself off and go party on Friday. Which is another, engaging thing about playing music and making music. Again, that adds to the philosophy of music. It's a 24-hour job. I cannot shut it off. You can say it's like a condition. You can't shut it off, but at the same time, you like, if there's too much of it and you do shut it off for a while, you feel lost.
okay.
So yeah, so that's why I keep rediscovering music. It just I wouldn't say it is the definition of my life. I feel that my moral standing, values, and my faith are what define me as a person and my life. But I think music is an extension of my being for sure.
Okay. That's great. Here, Adil, I'll just ask you something because you mentioned that you have studied engineering and you read so much and everything. So, and you also said that when you were in quizzing and everything.
Yeah.
So right now you're a full-time musician, right? So what was the kind of moment or where did you kind of decide that नहीं मुझको ना music ही करना है पूरा? So what and how do you take the kind of jump of doing that kind of?
I think when I made my first song, it was a childish song, like it was a teenage kind of song.
Okay.
It was for like a girl that I was seeing then.
Okay.
But I think once I made it, I kind of realized that my creativity is really is very complete when it comes to music, because I not only made guitar chords and lyrics, I made the arrangement, I made the bass line, I made the drum line, I recorded it, I mixed it, and I presented it to the person that it was for. And then I realized that this is something complete that comes naturally to me. And then I thought, it's worth a shot. I've never been just a guitar player. Which is why I probably chose to do this. Actually, the guitar playing, which, I mean, a lot of people know me as just a guitar player. The guitar playing is the smallest part of my music making experience.
Okay.
It's more thinking. And, I think faster than I think other things.
Okay. So we will get into that. Adil, right now what we'll do is that we are at almost an hour time, and this is the first kind of the kind of generally I kind of end it in the first part after 30 minutes, where we are kind of in an hour. So what we'll do is that we'll take a quick kind of a break, and we'll after that we'll come back because we haven't touched a lot of things. We've just kind of started the show and it's getting very, very interesting. So we'll know about a lot of things that I have I want to know about, Adil. So guys, a quick short break we'll be taking, and after that we'll come back with a lot of more kind of answers from Adil, and obviously some live by performances. So on that note, we'll kind of drop off for a while in the next part. Okay, thank you, Adil. Let's kind of have a quick break.